The Haunting of Bly Manor just released on Netflix, which is the sequel to The Haunting of Hill House. The Haunting of Hill House is still on Netflix right now and is definitely the best horror film I've ever watched. And yes, it is a show, but it has beat movies I've watched, such as The Conjuring, Annabelle, It, Sinister, and much, much more. The Haunting of Bly Manor was such a good show. The director did an amazing job with the story and casting such amazing actors and actresses. Although I was left with some questions that were left unanswered, which I would like to ask you all today. My first question is, how were Owen and Jamie able to see Hannah? We know that Flora and Miles had the ability to see other ghosts around the house other than Rebecca and Peter, but Danny was also able to see her fiance due to guilt and grief. But how were Owen and Jamie able to see Hannah themselves too? Another question I have is, knowing that Hannah was dead this whole time, how is she able to hold things such as cups, plates, holding the door? There are some scenes where she is seen bumping into the characters. Like, she has bumped into Danny a lot. How was she able to do that when Peter couldn't even hold Rebecca's hand when he died? Like, what? I don't know if I missed this part in the show, but we all know that Viola wanted her husband to promise her that he would allow their daughter to open the chest as she gets older. But why didn't she open it? Was it because she would get all the jewelry, which would eventually lead to getting a lot of money? Okay, I don't know if this is gonna be a small thing, but still, when Peter left Rebecca's room before he got taken by the Lady of the Lake, why didn't Rebecca hear the kids screaming outside of her door? Knowing that Flora and Miles's parents slept in the room that used to be Viola's room, why didn't anything happen to them? We know that Viola, being the Lady of the Lake, came inside the house during the night and choked whoever she came across to in the house. So why didn't anything happen to the parents at night? The last question I do have is, towards the end of the last episode, we see Jamie and Danny talking to Owen at Owen's restaurant. Owen did mention that Flora and Miles were able to only remember that they lived at the house of Bly Manor, but they don't remember anything that happened there. Well, how is that possible for Flora and Miles not to recognize their house, as the older version of Jamie was explaining the story to them at Flora's wedding? Didn't Owen say that the only thing they remember is living at Bly Manor, yet they don't recognize anything from Jamie's story? Adding on to that last question I just asked is, do you think Bly Manor is a made-up name? That did she change up the story and the names just so they wouldn't recognize that that was the house they lived at?
I expect if you were to fly to England, you would find no such place by that name. If you were to find the manor, though, perhaps you'd see her. Though no way to know when she's awake or asleep.
That is all the questions I have, but I would love to ask you guys, who is your favorite character? And what is the significance of the ending scene? We think that the hand on Jamie's shoulder is Danny because of the ring and the sweater, but what does this mean? Was Jamie tucked away in her memory being with Danny, or was Danny actually there?